Here's my audience. My last Hello everybody, my name is Latoya Bellamy and I'm going to be telling you about the benefits of breastfeeding and why every mom should. Here's my first example, is my breast pump, so we'll get into this a little bit later. And I know we have a few breastfeeding moms out there. Tara? Breast milk gives a healthy start that will last a lifetime. Caleb, for example, has been breastfeeding for 13 months?
15.
Breastfeeding babies fight out viruses and bacteria is beneficial for both mom and baby throughout the early stages of life. I have had 7 babies and I have breastfed all 7. Now I'm not going to say it was for a long period of time, but I have done it. The proportion of infants who are breastfed to 81.9%, increasing the proportion of infants who are breastfed exclusively through 6 months to 25.5%, excuse me, and increasing the proportion of infants who are breastfed at 1 year old to 34.1% in 2018. So that means the breastfeeding rate is going up. So that's a good thing. Now that I've told you about the proportion of infants who are breastfed, I'm going to tell you about why breastfeeding is important for you and your baby. First, breast milk contains antibodies that help fight off bacteria and infections. So when you have a baby who, say, is born early, like 8 months, before 40 weeks pretty much or whatever, they're prone to get viruses and bacteria and infections and stuff like that. So the hospitals recommend that you breastfeed your baby because we have a tendency to fight off bacteria. It's in our body, so it helps our baby to grow. So when they're premature, 9 times out of 10, they grow faster with the breast milk than bottle feeding. And that's why we have our breast pump, which again, we're going to get into a little bit later. Have anybody used the breast pump before? Raise your hand. Oh, Terry, you. Okay. We'll get into that later.
Come on, Kalaya.
So now I'm going to tell you about, hold on, give me a second, I'm sorry. The statistics of women who breastfeed versus women who actually don't breastfeed. I'm sorry, this computer is acting up a little bit. Excuse me, audience. Breastfeeding also lowers risk of asthma and allergies in babies as well. I forgot to mention that in the beginning, I'm sorry. Why is breastfeeding important for women? Breastfeeding also reduces stress. Who's stressful after having a baby? Me too. So it also helps you to calm yourself. You know, when you're breastfeeding, it's quiet. Well, it's supposed to be quiet. Or you walk in a room or just a quiet part of the house. So it helps release a lot of stress. Are you stressed, Tara? No? Okay. Okay, now that I've told you why breastfeeding is important, I'm going to tell you about the statistics of breastfeeding versus women who don't. In 2015, 74% of infants were breastfed at 4 months of age, and 63% breastfed at 6 months of age, which is identical to the corresponding proportion of children born in 2014. This is from the 2018 statistics. So that's also a good thing. So more young mothers and mothers-to-be are more interested in breastfeeding than not breastfeeding. Only 1 out of 5 women are unable to breastfeed and produce enough milk to feed their babies. So unless you have like just a medical issue or something like that, that's a high percent that you're able to breastfeed. So that's a good thing. We all here? Okay. Barriers to breastfeeding include lack of knowledge. People who don't breastfeed, they tend to fall into the statistics of they're embarrassed of breastfeeding in public. Tara, are you?
No.
Yeah, we know you're not. not equivalent to breast milk. Why? Because we have all the nutrients in our body versus buying formula. Even though I love formula, but I also love breast milk when I'm able to breastfeed. Poor family and social support. So a lot of people who don't have social support and live in low income communities and stuff like that, they don't like to breastfeed just because of, I guess, the perception of breastfeeding. The benefits of breastfeeding premature babies are extremely critical to a baby's growth. Like I mentioned before earlier, premature babies, they tend to grow faster and develop better with the mother's breast milk. Also, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but the immunoglobulins protect the newborns against the infections that the mother is immune to. A better development outcome for preemies, like I said, reduces stress, is easier to digest because their stomach and intestines are smaller than a baby who's full term versus a baby who's premature. Okay, Carl? Okay. Now that I've told you about why breastfeeding is important for a premature baby, I'm going to tell my testimony on breastfeeding. I have 7 babies, and I breastfed all 7 for the first 6 weeks at least. I try to do it a little longer, but it's just not for me. Not being on active duty, not being a civilian. It just wasn't for me. It's really time consuming, and when you have a lot of kids, it's too much for me. That's me. That's my personal experience. Now, Tara, how was your personal experience?
It's been very convenient.
Okay, so I'm glad that you have a good experience with it. I have told you about the importance of breastfeeding infants, premature babies, the statistics of women who breastfeed versus women who do not breastfeed. I showed you what a breast pump looks like. The benefits of using it would be to produce more milk. Breastfeeding reminds us of the universal truth of abundance. The more we give out, the more we are filled up in the divine nourishment. Thank you all for listening to my speech today, and I hope you guys all breastfeed.